So in this video, we're removing the injectors from a Caterpillar 3412 engine. This is the older style that has the capsule injectors. The later style engines had what's called pencil injectors, and I found some videos that show how to remove the pencil injectors, but I didn't see any that described how to remove the capsule injectors. So that's why I thought I'd do this video. The injectors themselves do the exact same thing. There's no inherent benefit to the pencil injectors as far as the injector itself. The big advantage is that, as you can see in a picture, they're skinnier. So the injector is skinnier, therefore the material in the head is thicker, which makes the head stronger. So that's why the engines that use the pencil injector can handle more power without risking a cracked head. If you look at the heads with the capsule injectors, then they're pretty thin in between the injector body and the exhaust and intake valves, especially since these engines have 4 valves per cylinder. Now, the official tool would look something like this to remove the injectors, and in general, I'm a pretty big fan of just using the proper tools to do things because you avoid damaging things and you usually avoid wasting your time trying to do something with an improper tool. But I thought I'd give it a try just using what I had laying around, and actually it's not hard to remove them, and so especially if you just do it one-off, then there really is no reason to spend the money on the tool. In this image you can see the design drawing of the old capsule injector and the newer injector that's called the pencil injector. It's skinnier is the main difference. And then I have a table with the effective serial number when the change occurred. So in my case, my serial number is 38S6033. That's the 3412 industrial. So you see the change was effective 38S13201. So mine is the old capsule injector. You can look up your engine serial number and then see whether it has the old or the new one. Or you can just pop the valve covers and then you can see for yourself. In this chart, you can see what exactly changed. So you can change an engine over if you replace all the parts that are in this table. Which is the fuel nozzle, the head, the nozzle adapter, and then the retainer clamp. And I don't know what that bolt is. So you have to, I guess only the old style uses a bolt and the new style doesn't. So if you want to change over from the old style to the new style, you need complete new heads. So it's a pretty big change, but you can change it. I've read in a few forums that the injection pump is different too. But as far as I can tell from the data that Caterpillar has published, there's no change in the injection pump. It's only the head and the fuel nozzle assembly is different. Even the lines would be the same. The only time that the injection pump is different is if you go way back to the pre-combustion chambered engines. Those actually had a different injection pump. What's a little bit confusing there is actually the casting numbers on the outside on the injection pump are the same, but the camshaft that operates the injectors are different. It runs different injection timing. So to change over from a pre-cup to a direct injected engine, that's a pretty big change. You need to replace the innards of the injection pump, as well as the heads, as well as the injectors, as well as the pistons. So that would be a really big change. But going from the old style to the new style injectors on a direct injected engine is less intrusive. If you're trying to match an injection pump with a particular engine or set of fuel injectors, what you need to look for is not the casting number of the pump, but the stamped numbers that are on the side. So you see this particular pump says DI in it. That means direct injectance. So that's for a direct injected engine. And you can also see it's a little hard to see probably in the picture, but the number on it is 7N8240. So you can look that up online, and if you trace it back, it'll go to a direct injected engine. So those are the ways that you can make sure that your injection pump matches the engine in case you're piecing together an engine out of different engines like the way I'm doing. All right, here we go. We're getting the valve covers off. Those are 3/8 head. And then here's the injectors. So to get the injectors out, there's actually a couple different styles of injectors. That's a 7/8 nut, and this is a 3/4. And these are the old style injectors. So you can look up your serial number online and figure out if you have the old style or the new style injectors. Even with the direct injected engines, they had 2 different styles, or actually 3 different styles of injectors. And the newer ones are already on the Adept Ape channel with the holders and the special cat tool. This one actually doesn't require any particular cat tool. Basically what you do is this nut, which I think is also a 7/8, and let me see, I already loosened this one, so but it's just a regular 6.7/8. You take this thing out, and essentially now the injector is already loose, so I can wiggle it, and all you have to do is pull on it. Now it's a little bit hard to pull on it here, so generally they won't go. So what you can do is screw the injector line back on it, and then you can use your preferred method of pulling on the injector lines. There's a couple of actual both from Cat as well as aftermarket pullers that just yank on this, even like slide hammers. I found mine not to be all that stuck, but what I did is I just took a couple of crow's foot wrenches like so. The pullers are actually a little bit better because they pull on both sides of the injector, so that way you're not going to bend it.
What are these?
Yep.
Should I take them out?
There we go. So we got a little platform to push on, and then just get one of these little crowbar things, and that'll just pull it right out. Alright, so you gotta have just the right height for these little crowbar things to work properly. So the better way to do is to get a proper puller tool, but just for demonstration purposes of what you're supposed to do, you know, basically all you do is just get the crowbar under here and then pull up on it. So essentially it's just a matter of pulling, and then once it's loose, then you can pull the whole injector out, and that is what they look like. So they call this a cartridge type injector. They're a little bit different than the pencil type injector. Notice it has these ribs here, so you definitely cannot turn the injector, which is good because otherwise you might twist the injector line off, right? Because you have to unthread this, and so you don't want the injector to be turning, because then you'd lose your injector line. And you can see in the bottom there, it also has the serrated edges that it drops into.
What happened to the ratchet?
So whenever you install it again, then you have to make sure that you rotate it to where it drops in. If it's rotate a little bit, once you get it to where, most of the time it'll actually just drop right in, but if it doesn't, then try to rotate it a little bit, and if you're able to rotate it, it'll drop in, and if it's already dropped in on its own, then you won't be able to rotate it anymore. And then you have to, I use the injector line just to handle it a little bit. Obviously make sure you don't bend that, and so once you're done with that, you can take the injector line back off, and then you can you put this nut back on, and then you can install the injector line, and that's it. I think the only part of this thing that's really serviceable is this tip. And you see this particular tip has some rust in it, so this needs to be thoroughly cleaned out and replaced.